Good afternoon, sir. Are you with us?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And next, our second speaker, we have Dr. Karen K.P.D. from Mindanao State University. Good afternoon, ma'am. Are you with
Yes,
us?
yes, good afternoon. I'm here.
Dibuangnya tuh Bali nggak sih?
Thank you, ma'am.
Am I clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you
It's
so
already
much.
clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, Dr. Wan Jumani Fauzi from Universiti Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, cool.
Your voice is already clear. Okay, we still have 3 minutes before we begin our session today.
Oh, ada kalau itu lagi.
Okay, well, the time is already at 1 p.m. here. From the committee from Untan, can we start or we still have to wait some several participants? May I ask some information from Bu Konita? Are you there? Because all of our speakers have successfully joined to the seminar. Once again, welcome and thank you for taking the time to share your knowledge and expertise with all of us. Now, before we officially begin the seminar, may I kindly invite everyone to prepare the opening session. Baik, Bapak Ibu, karena sebagian besar peserta sepertinya saya lihat dari Indonesia, from Indonesia. So, Bapak Ibu yang baru berkenan join bisa bersiap-siap karena acara akan segera kita mulai. Dan mohon diinformasikan kepada grup kelas masing-masing bagi peserta yang belum bergabung, diharapkan untuk segera bergabung. Terima kasih. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, because the time is already 1 p.m. here, I would like to begin our session today. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished speakers, respected lecturers, researchers, teachers, students, and participants from Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to the international seminar entitled Analyzing Qualitative Data. This seminar is organized by Universitas Tanjungpura in collaboration with Mindanao State University, Universiti Malaysia Pahang Sultan Abdullah, Universitas Kutai Kartanegara, and Universitas PGRI Adibuana. My name is Qurota A'Yunin, and it is an honor to serve as your host and moderator for today's seminar. Thank you very much for joining us today. We truly appreciate your presence and enthusiasm. Before we begin, I would like to kindly remind everyone to keep your microphone muted throughout the seminar. Use the raise hand feature if you wish to ask question. Write your questions in the chat box during each presentation, and please stay until the end of seminar because there will be a link for your presence at the certificate. Without further ado, let us begin to the seminar. Well, our first speaker is Dr. Urai Salam, Ph.D. He is the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs at the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas Tanjungpura. Today, he will deliver a presentation entitled AI Assisted Qualitative Data Analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Urai Salam, PhD. Dr. Urai Salam, time is yours.
Hello? Can
Yes,
you hear
hello.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share my. Okay.
Dr. Urai, can you hear
Yes.
me? Yeah. Uh, Excuse me, before you start the presentation, you only have 20 minutes to
Okay.
present
Yeah,
your
sure.
present. Thank you.
We'll try to manage. Okay, yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. The keynote speakers for today's, we have, wait. I don't remember the name. Dr. Karen Gay from MSU Mindanao State University, Mindanao. And also Ibu Dr. Wan Jumani from Universiti Malaysia Pahang, Sultan Ali Drus, and all the students who are present here. Now I am presenting my paper. My topics is ChatGPT for qualitative data analysis. Thank you for the moderator, Ms. Qurota A'Yunin. So please remind me if my time is 5 minutes left or 3 minutes left. Okay, now let's talk about qualitative data analysis. Usually, qualitative data analysis is so time consuming because there are so many data. Usually, qualitative data sets are often large and information rich. We have usually abundance of data. So that's why we need a tool to help us manage our data. Sorry, a little disturbance. Okay. Yeah. Now, why we need tools here to help us deal with our data, yeah, because usually, once again, the qualitative data set are often very large. Coding require consistency across participant, across time, because, you know, it is not easy to be consistent when we deal with big data and also across participants. Yeah. Like, for example, if we have 20 participants, so we have to code the results of interview or data to be consistent. And identifying patterns and relationship is very demanding, intellectually demanding, because we need to be consistent. So we have to understand. We need to get familiar with our data. We read again and again. Usually, yeah. I used to do a big data when I did my Ph.D. So at the time, I use Viper to help me to code my data. So, but the first time, I need to read all the transcripts and also the qualitative data in terms of the transcript of conversation, yeah, student discussion in the group discussion. So we have to get familiar with our data. So it is really, once again, really demanding. And the meaningful teams require interpretation rather than simple categorization. It's, once again, it needs usually lots of time yet to do these things. Now, we are very lucky today. We have ChatGPT. ChatGPT can support qualitative data researcher. As a researcher, now we can use ChatGPT to help us code our data, to help us understand our data easier and faster, to keep our coding consistent, yeah, more confident, yeah, because ChatGPT can do it properly. But of course, not by replacing us as researcher, yeah. The one who in qualitative research, the one who understand, yeah, the research is the researcher itself. Yeah, we ourselves have to cover all the things. Yeah. But in terms of data analysis, particularly in data coding, so now ChatGPT can help us. Actually, I want to share my experiences because I have done a few projects on qualitative research lately. So here we go. Now, before we go on with data analysis, we have to determine our strategy in our research, whether we use inductive analysis, and that is data-driven, yeah, and or deductive analysis, theory-driven, yeah. Let's start from data-driven first. ChatGPT can support both approaches. Whatever strategy we take, yeah, our research does, we can use ChatGPT to help us to code and to manage our data. But there is a slightly different way we use ChatGPT before we do the coding and the analysis, data interpretation. In inductive analysis, data-driven, this is the the very was the typical of qualitative research. In qualitative research, usually we do inductive analysis in order to understand the true nature, the true nature of what is happening with our participant. If we want to investigate there certain tips or certain action, certain tradition in our participants, so we need to understand, yeah, how it's really happens, yeah, with them, and how the participant really was that perceive, yeah, and also understand about themselves. And we try to reveal what they are doing, yeah, in their action. So meaning that it is, I mean, it is usually grounded in the data. The theme emerged from participant experiences. So what they experience, so we try to code according to their experience. So it is more open to codes, yeah, and to emerge the theme. It is more open. Coding is grounded as in the data, as I said, and theory is introduced after patterns emerge. Because it is inductive strategy. So we have to come up with, we have to find, to emerge the theme first, and before we categorize the theme into more analytical. Now, suitable for exploratory qualitative research. Now, when we do these things, we have to I will come back to the inductive later. Yeah, we go to using the inductive first. Now, in order to do the inductive strategy, what we need to do is like, yeah, we need to calibrate ChatGPT at 3 levels: research, methodology, and analysis. The research calibration ensure ChatGPT understand what is being studied. And then methodological calibration ensure that it understands how the analysis should be conducted, whether it is inductive or deductive. Now, analytical calibration ensure that it applies the coding rule consistently. Now, what I mean calibration here is that before we start the coding, yeah, we calibrate the ChatGPT. Now, we discuss, yeah, with ChatGPT before we do the coding. Yeah. For example, when I did my, let's say, my recent research about self-regulated and acceptance model, and I believe that my, when students when students have a good acceptance in their technology, so I believe that they could regulate their learning better. Now, before I work with my data, so the transcript of student interview and also open-ended questionnaire, I discuss first with ChatGPT about what I mean by self-regulated learning, what I mean by technology acceptance model. So all their construct, I talk about those. Yeah. So how I mean with self-regulation. Yeah. Like I follow Zimmerman. So it's about 3 construct, like forethought, and then monitoring, yeah, and then the last one is self-regulation, so self-observation and self-regulation. So I talk about this with ChatGPT, and it's kind of we discuss, yeah. I discuss with ChatGPT about my topic. What's the topic, and how I was it ground my research into two kinds of research. I mean theories, yeah, that really underpinning my research. So in order that ChatGPT is become familiar, yeah, with my research, and then it's not only the about the topics, but also I talk about the nature of my research. So what's the topic? What I really want to find out from my research. I discuss with ChatGPT. And then how I will conduct, like inductive, for example. I will do this analysis using inductive strategies. So then I will um, elaborate what I mean by inductive, for example, like that. And then I also uh, explain, yeah, how what I will do step by step. Yeah. Yeah. And then how I manage my data and so on and so on. So by talking or discussing the plan, the nature of research, and what theory base our research, yeah, with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT will understand, yeah, our research. So it is not all of a sudden we work with data, but we try uh, what's that to talk with ChatGPT first. So then ChatGPT will understand our research and will know the specific terminologies, and perhaps we have certain definition, yeah, operational definition. So then ChatGPT will keep that to become like items that to remember or to be included or otherwise to be excluded. Yeah. Now, by that one, ChatGPT help researchers bracket their theoretical lens during inductive coding. So bracketing, it's kind of uh, to avoid the bias, yeah, of theory. Yeah. So what we mean that when we do coding, so we really do this according to the data, so not really according to the theory. Uh, Even though we talk about the theory first with ChatGPT, but it is the purpose of the talking or the discussion is to get familiar. But then when we do the coding, we tell the ChatGPT that not really following like giving the theme of the instruction according to the theory, but more on grounded in the data. So how can we do calibration? So like this, yeah, this is the prompts, yeah, instruction for ChatGPT that I did, yeah, when I did my coding, yeah. For example, you are conducting an inductive thematic analysis. Now, so to mean that ChatGPT will conduct what's the coding with grounded to the data. Stay close to the participant original meaning, so not following theory, yeah. But the meaning remains on the original data. Generate descriptive data-driven codes, ya, not theory-driven, misalkan seperti itu. Ya, for example. So use the participant on words whenever possible, like apa istilahnya, forgot verbatim, ya, verbatim coding. So we try to use the original terminology or statement from the participant. do not classify responses according to any existing theoretical framework. So because we want ChatGPT to be grounded in the data. Avoid abstract psychological interpretation unless they are explicitly supported by the data. So once again, we do not try to interpret, yeah, while doing coding. We try to keep the original, yeah, interpretation from the data. If multiple interpretations are possible, expand each one rather than select one prematurely. So meaning that once again, we try to ask ChatGPT to do carefully, yeah, do not easily interpret the data, but try to collect the data according to the original coding. Support every code with the specific quotation from which it was derived. So usually, I mean, I do not use all of these, but when I do calibration with ChatGPT, I try, yeah, those things. So then once again, the ChatGPT understand the nature of our research. So it is very different from the data, I mean, the theory driven. Now, in inductive research, data analysis, we really want ChatGPT to do data driven. Nah, after this, ya, setelah kita calibrating ChatGPT, then we do coding. Ya, it is easy. Ya, after we give the ChatGPT like this, ya, maksud saya, after we discuss with ChatGPT, after we do calibrating ChatGPT, then we do coding. Yeah. How to do coding? Just put your transcripts, yeah, in ChatGPT and just ask ChatGPT to, like, the prompt can be do open coding with the data below. Begitu, seperti itu saja. So then ChatGPT will do the coding. Yeah. Usually I divide it. If I have like 10,000 words, for example, as the results of the interview or the open-ended questionnaire. So I divide it into four sessions. Yeah, like not 4 sessions, 2 sessions. Yeah, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. So I divide it into 2 in order to make ChatGPT to cover precisely, yeah, rather than with 10,000 in once coding, ya. Jadi kalau data saya banyak sekali, maka saya bikin 2 sesi. So in order that ChatGPT will do it. Jadi sekali lagi, after calibration, kita masukkan data ke dalam ChatGPT as it is, ya, jangan diedit-edit. So from the transcript or from the open-ended questionnaire, masukkan saja ke sini tanpa diedit, masih mentah. Habis itu, I mean, give the ChatGPT instruction atau prompt dengan cara tadi itu apa? Cukup mengatakan do open coding, ya, gitu saja. Karena kita grounded, because we inductive, ya. Nah, setelah itu baru we can follow that. Misalkan the second round will be misalkan create the category of the team, misalkan seperti dan selanjutnya. Ya, so as the usual, what's that? Data coding and team emerging teams, ya, from the codes. Minta begitu. So the second level will be the emerge and classify according to I classify the codes into certain teams of data. Nah, that's induktif ya. Nah, sekarang kita balik ke we back to deductive strategy ya. Deductive analysis, theory driven. Now, theory driven is usually we code our data according to the construct of the theory, the existing theoretical framework. Now, this deductive strategy is usually easier because we know already the construct. We don't emerge, we don't emerge the themes because the theme coming from the construct of theory that become our theoretical frameworks. Yeah. For example, as what I say, when I did my research, ya seperti like technology acceptance model and self-regulated learning, those theory have constructs. Jadi, so I talk with, I mean, when do calibration, I just talk about this, yeah, with the ChatGPT. So once again, the coding is guided by existing theoretical framework. Data are interpreted through predefined construct according to theory. So we talk about that suitable theory for, suitable for theory testing, refinement, and or extension. So if we want to test ChatGPT, yeah, about the theory, so we can ask ChatGPT whether ChatGPT answer or explain the theory construct consistently. Ya. Ini ketika kita melakukan kalibrasi. So after let's say ya deductive analysis ya. Nah ini before we do our coding, so once again, we calibrate ChatGPT. Nah, tadi kalau induktif, kita memang lebih kepada research calibration, methodology calibration, and interpretation calibration. So we do not talk about the theory specifically. I mean, of course, we talk about theory, but we do not. We try to say to bracket, yeah, to bracket the ChatGPT. So then, do not directly match between the statement into the theoretical framework. Now, on the other hand, yeah, in deductive analysis, we directly categorize. Jadi cara kalibrasi. So when we do calibration, calibrating ChatGPT by summarizing the theoretical framework, explaining its construct, distinguishing similar constructs, yeah. Like for example, kalau kita talks about self-regulated learning, ya. Jadi kita ada apa? Ada forethought, ada what's that? Misalkan self-observation, motivation, monitor, ya, monitoring motivation, or self-regulation. Nah, seperti itu different constructs, or they usually very similar, and we try to distinguish this the similar construct. Yeah. So then ChatGPT can get the definition exactly what we want. But if we use the very common theory, we don't need to really discuss with ChatGPT. What is the I mean, we don't need to discuss with ChatGPT seriously because ChatGPT already know, yeah, the common the popular theory, yeah, like Zimmerman theory, yeah,
Excuse me,
for
sir.
self-regulated learning.
Yes,
Yeah,
excuse me, sir. This is a gentle reminder that you have only about 2 minutes remaining.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so after we calibrate the ChatGPT, then we put our as what we do in inductive ya. Setelah kalibrasi, baru kita masukkan data kita ke ChatGPT, and then we ask them, the ChatGPT to match between coding and the theoretical constructs. Nah, this is very important for the researcher, that researcher remains the analyst, of course. Yeah, ChatGPT only help us to manage our data, to do coding, because we have a huge amount of data. So if we do it ourselves, so it's difficult. So by asking help from ChatGPT, it is much easier and faster ya. Jadi sekali lagi kita kalibrasi ChatGPT. Setelah kalibrasi baru kita lakukan coding. Nah, codingnya sebentar sekali ya. Only perhaps few hours ya. We want 2 or 3 hours we do our data, so it's done. Ya. It's much faster now. And according to based on my experiences doing this, ChatGPT is very good to help us coding. Okay, this is once again tadi yang sudah saya sampaikan ya, inductive and deductive in terms of interpretation. When we ask ChatGPT, we once again now please do inductive interpretation, for example, like that. Dan setelah kita punya banyak coding, ya dia akan berikan inductive atau deductive interpretation. Okay, saya kira itu that's can share about how to use ChatGPT for data analysis. Here the last, my final slides, whether using an inductive or deductive approach, ChatGPT should never replace the researcher analytical judgment. The trustworthy qualitative analysis depend on methodological rigor, transparency, and reflective interpretation by ourselves as the researcher. I think that's I can share. Silakan, I return to the moderator.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Urai Salam, for the insightful presentation. Now we will continue with the question and answer session. For the participants who would like to ask questions, may raise their hands or write their question in the chat box. We will have approximately 5 minutes for this session. And I already see one question here from Catherine. Yeah, actually, Ma'am Catherine is my lecturer in Adibuana. Ma'am Catherine, are you there? Do you want to deliver the question directly, or I have to read the question from the chat box? Are you here?
Yes, please read.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Urai.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So the question is, do we need to explain the specific design we are using to ChatGPT? For example, ethnography, grounded theory, or phenomenology. Will that affect how ChatGPT to blanket? Catherine?
Yes.
Technology
Okay, thank you for the question, Ibu Catherine. For inductive, yes, very important that we talk about the nature of our research, like ethnography, grounded theory, phenomenology, like phenomenology, for example, it's a little, actually, it's a bit difficult, doing coding with phenomenology research. because in phenomenology research, we try to break it, as I said, to approach the data. When we do coding, we usually influenced by the theoretical framework that we have discussed or that we have written in our paper, for example, or in our proposal of our research proposal. Now, on the other side, in phenomenological study, we try to understand the perspective from the participant perspective, how the participant views their own perspective and their own work and thinking and so on like that. So meanwhile, ChatGPT is just machine, cannot really investigate according to the human perspective, things like that. So, but still, ChatGPT is still powerful to do that coding. As far as, once again, we explain the nature of our research. So therefore, it is very important to explain what we mean by ethnography. How deep is the ethnography or grounded theory in our research? How we manage, how we design that research. So then, by that conversation with ChatGPT, we hope that ChatGPT understand what we mean. Now, to do that, one of the strategy is to test ChatGPT. Like, for example, we talk about something and then whether ChatGPT find the similar, coding with the research itself. Jadi cara coachingnya, jadi saya sebenarnya istilah saya itu adalah training the ChatGPT, tapi istilah training ChatGPT itu kan tidak benar karena training ChatGPT itu hanya oleh programmer Tapi maksud saya dengan training ChatGPT, so before we start coding, we train, we teach, we talk with ChatGPT, so then we gain the similar understanding. Jadi karena kita, because we want to give this work to ChatGPT, so then ChatGPT have to achieve similar understanding with what we, as research. Therefore, so we have to once. Nah, kalau yang deductive itu harus juga, tetapi kita yang lebih intensif we talk itu adalah about our construct, theoretical constructs. Karena semua coding nanti lari ke theoretical construct. Constructnya sudah ada, berasal dari teori. Jadi oleh karena itu ChatGPT have to understand exactly what we mean by the construct. Nah itu yang juga boleh, yang saya sebut kalibrasi itu, kita coba ChatGPT, betulkah dia sudah paham dengan konstruk yang kita maksud. Nah kalau sudah 2-3 kali kita tes ChatGPT, then it seems that we believe that ChatGPT already understand what we are doing, then we can go with the coding. Nah gitu. That's
Okay.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doctor, for the clear explanation. I hope that answered the participant questions. Bu Catherine, how's it? Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Urai.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Miss
thank you.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Well, let me make a conclusion from the first presentation. So, in conclusion, ChatGPT serves as an analytical assistant rather than a decision maker. The researcher remains responsible for selecting the methodology, evaluating the quality of coding, refining themes, ensuring theoretical coherence, and making the final interpretation. Therefore, the credibility of qualitative research ultimately depends on the researcher's expertise, critical judgment, and methodological rigor. In summary, ChatGPT supports the analytical process, but the researcher remains the primary analyst. Human expertise, critical judgment, and methodological decisions are essential to ensure trustworthy and high quality qualitative research. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Urai Salam.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, now let's move to the second speakers. Now we will move to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Dr. Karen K. P.D. from Mindanao State University. Are you here, Doctor?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, thank you so much. She served as the Director for Research and Extension. Today, she will present a topic entitled Ethics of AI in Qualitative Research. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Karen K. P.D. Time is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I will just prepare my slide for in one. Is my slide visible already?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So from our collaborators from UMTAN, the UMPSA, the UD Carta, and the UPGRI, good afternoon, especially to our co-presenters for this afternoon, Dr. Fauzi, Dr. Salam, and Ms. Yunin, our moderator, and of course, our audience, good afternoon, everyone. So in Malaysia, may you speak of Budi, and this is the relational grace, character, and shared kindness that governs how we treat one another. In Indonesia, also you live by gotong royong. Though am I correct in the
Yes,
pronunciation?
gotong
Okay,
royong, yeah.
yeah, gotong royong. I am
In
learning these
collaboration,
words.
yes.
Yes. The beautiful collective spirit of mutual aid and community wage sharing. And also in the Philippines, we anchor our entire social fabric in kapwa. So this is the sacred recognition of a shared inner self, the absolute opposite of treating another human being as an other. Why this is so like sound poetic, because we are in qualitative research. So these are not just beautiful words, they are epistemologies. So they are the very foundations of how we, as Southeast Asian researchers, conduct qualitative inquiry. When we sit across from a teacher in Sabah, a farmer of Central Java, or a community leader in Mindanao, we are not just collecting data points. We are witnessing lived experiences. We are holding secret human stories here in qualitative research. So once again, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are joining us from today, from Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and everywhere in between. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. So over the next 15 to 20, 25 minutes, perhaps I can finish this earlier. We're going to talk about something almost every one of us has already done, whether we called it research ethics or not, using AI to help with qualitative work. So my goal isn't to tell you that AI is good or bad. This is not to make judgment on whether we are going to use AI or is this good or bad. It's to slow down, no? It's to slow down. So within the remaining minutes on the specific ethical pressure points this creates, and to ground conversation in our region, in our application. I hope we can have also sharing later on this, and not someone else. So this discussion this afternoon talks about information, data frameworks, and situations, and also practices. So before diving into AI, it is crucial to ground into why we value qualitative research in the first place. You can frame this as three-stage evolutionary journey, from quantitative to mixed methods to qualitative depth. So why quantitative research excels as answering the how many or what, it often strips away the human context. Mixed methods emerge as a bridge between the quanti and the quali, but the definitive shift towards pure qualitative inquiry was driven for academic realizations. Kanina, a while ago, Dr. Usman also told us about that it's very lengthy, no? Very many questionnaires in the quantitative, and those are focuses only on numbers or numerics only. So for decades, our academic institutions pushed us toward the cold, objective metrics of quantitative research. We tried to count, we tried to measure, and we tried to generalize. Then we found a middle ground in mixed methods, realizing numbers needed context. Mixed method actually is the one that we are using in our undergraduate students right now, from quanti to mixed methods. But we find it more important and significant to also have the qualitative, but this is applied through certain departments from now. But maybe because of the beauty of what qualitative research, we are going also to polish our papers, and hopefully by next school year, we are going to apply this one because it needs a lot of expertise from coding to analyzing. All right, so we eventually, many of us also made deliberate and conscious shift to pure qualitative research. Why? Because we realized that you cannot run a statistical regression in trauma, on hope, or cultural resilience, or on the quiet dignity of our communities. We needed it. So we needed human subjectivity. But today, we stand at a dizzying crossroad. The algorithm turn is here. We are being told that AI can now transcribe deepest emotions with single prompt. It is tempting. It is also fast, and it is also efficient to some. But as qualitative researchers, we must ask ourselves a difficult, uncomfortable question. At what cost? So today we are going to talk about the evolution of research ethics and shaping our legal responsibilities. But most importantly, we are going to talk about how to protect the soul of our research. AI can help us organize the words, but only we as human, culturally grounded researchers have the empathy, no, the shared story, and the moral authority to interpret the lived experiences of our people. So let's begin with this scenario to open on. You can raise your hand mentally, or if not literally, if you've done this in the last month. So this is the scenario. Where does the line actually sit? So a researcher this could be any of us, is behind on transcript coding. It's 11 p.m. They open a free AI chatbot and paste it in a chunk of interview next to help speed things up. That text includes a participant's name, a health condition they mentioned, their household income. It feels harmless. Anyway, these are just informations or your profiles. It's just a first pass just to complete the requirement. But these three questions quietly open up the moment you hit enter. The question is, where did the data just go? Whose servers? Which country? So did your participant actually consent to an AI system reading this? And once the AI proposes an interpretation, whose reading of that person's story are you now working with? Is it yours or the model's? So we're not going to resolve this in the next few minutes, but I want them sitting at the back of your mind as we go through the evidence. Now, why this matters? Let's talk on the data. All AI use in research exploded overnight. This is data, and this is the source that we have below. So this isn't a slow trend. This is a curve that went almost vertical. So in 2025, there is a systematic review of 189 survey research papers using large language models. Only 2% of them were published in 2022. This is the year that ChatGPT is being launched. By 2024, that number was 59%. That's not gradual adoption. That's a field being reshaped in about 18 months. Look at the numbers, the percentage. So it's not just individual researchers experimenting quietly. The three biggest qualitative analysis programs we all know, the MaxQDA, the Atlas.T, and NVivo, have all built generative AI directly into their coding workflow now. So this conversation isn't hypothetical or future-facing. If you've opened NVivo recently, if you have that app, the AI is already sitting right there in the toolbar. Whether you click it or not, it's already there. Okay. Then what the evidence shows. Here's the number that should make you sit up and also make you amazed of these numbers. In a study of student responses about microplastic, ChatGPT was asked to code the same data set twice. In a study of student responses, these are the data. That is in 1 week. And then the agreement between those two runs measured with Cohen's kappa was 0.96. Human coders in that same body of research typically land somewhere between 0.45 and 0.90, agreeing with each other or even with themselves over time. So whether it was run by ChatGPT and it was also run by these two researchers, there are two runs. What seems to be similar or what seems to be constant there is we have the 0.96 two runs of ChatGPT seems he is the one that is having an efficient number that corresponds to the document that is being run in ChatGPT. So on paper, the AI looks more reliable than we are. But consistency is not the same thing as being right. An AI can confidently and consistently produce the same wrong answer twice. It can fabricate quotes that were never said, especially with a vague prompt. Prompt is the key if you're going to use AI. So, and whatever pattern it finds is still filtered through whatever cultural assumptions are baked into its training data, not the community you actually studied. So high kappa should make you more careful, no, not less. So AI models often fail to recognize regional dialects, slang or code switching accurately during the transcription or analysis. So this leads to hallucinations, made up or distorted facts, some, and also were mischaracterizations of marginalized rural or indigenous communities in Southeast Asia. So qualitative research relies on interpreting human meaning, subjectivity, and lived experiences. AI does not think or understand. It predicts and synthesizes patterns from existing training data. The trust gap. So notice the 13-point gap between these two numbers. That gap is basically this entire talk. Globally, it is said, according to research, that 65% of people believe AI systems are technically capable, that they deliver accurate, reliable results. Only 52 believe those same systems are safe, ethical, or socially responsible. And worry is rising because it's not failing, it's not falling, It's not falling. 52 is not falling. It's getting higher in the percentage. 62% of people say they're concerned about AI's risk, up from 49% just 2 years earlier. That gap is actually the space qualitative researchers are standing in every time we use these tools on real people stories. Capability was never really the question here. It is the responsibility. So now let's bring this home literally to our part of the world. What is this in the regional lens? So globally, this is again according to data, 42% of men and 30% of women believe AI will mostly help society over the next 20 years. In Southeast Asia specifically, those numbers dropped to 36% and 30%. We are, as a region, more cautious than the global average, and the gender gap persists here too. I want to be really clear about this it isn't technophobia, and it isn't the region being behind. So researchers looking at this data connected to real gaps in digital inclusion infrastructure and wider gender gaps in AI access across parts of ASEAN. What does it mean for us in this room is that any ethics guidance we adopt has to start from this baseline of caution, not assume the trust levels of Silicon Valley or Brussels. Now, there are 4 ethical tensions. This is where AI-assisted qualitative research gets ethically complicated. So let's name the 4 places where this actually gets uncomfortable. I want to walk through 4 specific tensions quickly. These are confidentiality and data sovereignty, informed consent, bias and cultural flattening, and epistemic integrity and authorship. For each one, I'll give you the core problem and one concrete regional anchor. This might be a law, a guiding question, or a practice. You can actually use it when you get back to your desks. So let's have it one by one. We have tension 1. So we are going to try to ask yourself right now, do you actually know where your last upload went? Did you know? So tension 1 is confidentiality and data sovereignty. When you paste a transcript into a free AI tool, that data can leave your institution, that can also leave your country in a way it never would have been a locked filing cabinet or a password protected drive. So uploading transcripts to cloud AI tools can send participant data, whether this is your health status, income, location, outside institutional, and even national control. So free tier tools may retain or even train on what you submit, and most of us has never actually read that provider's data retention terms. So whose servers? Whose jurisdiction? This matters even more for sensitive populations, indigenous knowledge, livelihoods, health narratives, where the community itself has its own protocols for who gets to hold that knowledge. So this, when they are going to have this sensitive data being thrown into which part, which servers, indigenous knowledge, livelihoods, and health narratives carry extra risk when processed by systems built outside the community's own governance, because we do not have the control all of this data being thrown to AI or to any server. And then we go to the confidentiality still. So as all 3 of our countries already have relevant law. We have the Malaysia's PDPA, Indonesia's UU-PDP, and also the Philippines Data Privacy Act of 2012. The question isn't whether protection exists on paper. It's whether our research workflows are actually honoring our research workflows or our researches and our data. So this is still a concern of regional data privacy law. In our school, we are also having the harmonization in our university on data AI policy as being integrated into researches and also in paper submissions, no requirements. So there are certain, it depends upon the university to contextualize the application of this AI. And we cannot do it, we cannot do away with using AI, ChatGPT, and other tools. No? So the only thing is that there should be an institutionalized policy that could understand the community, especially our stakeholders within the school. So tension 2 is we should think about the last consent form. The last consent form that you use, that is say anything about AI. If you have done researches, does it say anything about AI at all? So tension 2 is informed consent. So almost none of our existing consent templates were written with generative AI in mind because most of them predate ChatGPT. Your participant agreed that you, the researcher, would read and interpret their story. They didn't agree that an external AI system would process it first. And there's a harder question underneath that. If a participant later withdraws consent, because we cannot force participant to join our study in conducting the study, so can data already sent to an AI vendor actually be deleted or untrained from that system? We often cannot honestly answer that. So practically, name the AI tool you're using in your consent form. State plainly whether data leaves the country or institution, and be honest about what withdrawal can and cannot do. So what to add to the consent form? So you have to name any AI tool used because we do not have also this one for now, no? So we are going to apply this one. Name AI tool used in transcription. State whether data leaves the country or institution, especially if we are going to publish internationally our papers, and explain what withdrawal can and cannot undo. All right, these models learn to think mostly in English about mostly Western lives, and then we hand them our transcripts. Tension 3 is bias and cultural flattening. Large language models are trained overwhelmingly on English language. So therefore, there is this starting of the bias and cultural flattening. So Bahasa Malaysia, Bahasa Indonesia, Filipino, and every code switching between those languages and English that our participants actually speak in. So you have to make up a tiny function of the training data because it will be fed into the tool. So once they are fed more information, more data, so there will be a flattening of the more information or the more data that is being sent through the tool, so the more bias. So there should be a level of sending of this data. So there should be a training of that data. A phrase that carries real cultural weight in one of our communities can get flattened into something generic, which is exactly the nuance qualitative research exists to protect. And then here's a simple test to run ADAI generated theme. So would a research assistant unfamiliar with this community have read in the same way? If the honest answer is no, that output needs a human corrective pass before it goes anywhere near your findings, because there are many interpretations. And that would also include bias if the only interpretation is not so far with the others can understand. So not just acceptance, but it will also save time if we are going to have it into AI, but it should be having responsibility and extra careful. The last one, tension, and it's the quiet one. The one that doesn't show up until someone reads your method section closely. So tension 4 is epistemic integrity and authorship. Qualitative research earns its credibility through situated, reflective interpretation. A researcher who knows the context making is a judgment call. When an AI proposes the codes or themes instead, whose lens is actually in your findings? Journals are starting to require AI use disclosure, but across our universities and journals in the region, the norms are still inconsistent, which means it's currently on each of us individually to hold that line. So two practical habits fix most of this. Disclose the specific tool and version used, and keep a reflexing log of why you accepted or rejected each AI-generated theme. And that log is what keeps the final analytic voice recognizably yours.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
A gentle reminder that you only have 2 minutes remaining. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. So the good news is we're not starting from zero. The catch is none of it has teeth yet. So ASEAN actually does have a regional framework, the Guide on AI Governance and Ethics, released February 2024 and expanded in January 2025 to specifically cover generative AI. It sets out 7 principles: transparency, fairness, and equity, security and safety, reliability, human centricity, privacy, and data governance and accountability. But it's explicitly non-binding. Voluntary best practice, no enforcement mechanism, and it doesn't override any of our national laws. Meanwhile, analysts project AI could contribute somewhere between 10 and 18% of the region's GDP by 2030. So across roughly 700 billion people, our institutional ethics boards are still catching up to that scale of change, which practically means that right now, individual researchers like everyone in this room are carrying a lot of ethical judgment ourselves. So what do you actually do on Monday morning? 5 things, and none of them require waiting for your university to issue new policy, because change is only the change of the percentage is highly accommodating, because we also use highly the use of AI tools in our everyday life. Actually, it's somewhat AI is part of our life. So one is you need to disclose the AI tool and version in your methodology section. Don't leave it implicit. 2, de-identify transcript, strip names and locations before any AI tool ever sees them. 3, treat AI output as a first pass, never the final say. Every code or theme gets checked against your raw data by a human. 4, update your consent language to name AI-assisted analysis as a real possibility. And 5, actually check your tool's data policy. Does it train on what you submit before you trust it with anything sensitive? So none of these slow you down much. All 5 of them protect the people who trusted with their stories. So to wrap up, smaller ideas exist. This might be small ideas, small questions, or very basic questions. Why AI can never be an author? How to disclose AI use honestly, and personal gut check, is this truly mine? If you use AI, is the information being thrown or being sent, is that mine? Is that yours? So the use of AI is a highly efficient intern. Let it edit, let it clean, let it organize, but when the final journal is published, your name goes on the cover, because only you have the human heart, the conscience, and the professional accountability to stand behind the work. So I want to leave you a bigger idea than any single slide today. Every framework we've looked at today, the trust surveys, the ASEAN guide, even the underlying AI models, was built somewhere else, largely without our languages, our data laws, or our communities in mind. I think our region needs its own ethical vocabulary for this. Guidance grounded in ASEAN data law, in Bahasa and Filipino, in the specific relationships researchers here have with the communities we study. So let me leave you with a question on the screen. This is just a discussion prompt if ever. Or you can also have this one when you go back tomorrow, Monday, at your own universities. So should your university require an AI use disclosure statement in every thesis methodology chapter, or the other way around? I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you everyone for listening.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Karen, for your valuable and inspiring presentation. Yeah, actually, now I'm thinking, should we do it for our university like that? Well, we will now open another question and answer session. For the participants are welcome to raise their hands or submit questions through the chat box. Please. Any questions for Dr. Karen? Karen, yeah. Karen
I
or
think Karen. I think they
Karen?
do not have question. I think it's very clear. But I was just
Very
like
clear.
also glad to hear po. So we can also share ideas, something like that, which we can apply in our own universities. I will be also be glad to hear something from the from the audience, from the students, of course, specifically. Yes.
Okay. Well, talking about prompting, Dr. Karen. Karen.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is also a question from the chat box. Apa trik in Indonesian? Apa trik membuat prompt di ChatGPT untuk mendapatkan jawaban yang kita inginkan? Misalnya dalam menyusun tesis, penelitian kualitatif, apa ada prompt khusus? Oh, from Abang Julianto, actually he asks, is there any specific prompt or how to make a prompt to compose a thesis in qualitative research.
Oh,
It's about prompting, actually.
okay. The best prompt is the life of AI. If you can really prompt, just like you are going to have your filtered picture using AI, but you need to have a very good prompt on it. Okay, so yes, this is one of the most practical questions that we could likely to get in this session. So how should we write prompts for AI when we conduct qualitative research? Before answering that, can we use AI? No, can we use AI in qualitative research? Yes, of course you can. You can really use. No, a good answer is that prompting is a research skill. This is not just a technical skill actually, because every one of us knows very much on English. No, we are very much. Some of us are also experts on English, but this is not a research skill. It is a technical skill. So the quality of AI's output depends greatly on how clearly the researcher provides context, instructions, and boundaries, because we know that AI really can answer anything under the heat of the sun or under the shine of the moon during at night. But it really depends on you on how you are going to prompt. For us, I also use that one. Our students also use that one, but we need to know, we need to plan further how we are going to frame that prompt. So it should be that you are going to contextualize who are you, by the way. It's like giving information, and what do you really want, something that AI can give you. So a framework for ethical prompting is qualitative research. You can introduce a simple framework. This is just my own research, Miss Moderator. Okay, you can introduce a simple framework called context. So in context, so C, you can describe the research topic, then explain the purpose of the study. That is C in the context. Example, I am conducting a phenomenological study on the lived experiences of first-year teachers in rural schools. So be sure that you are going to explain so that AI tool must be fed with something, information that is your own, because AI tools are only our pilot, no? We are just going to feed them with information. Next on that is the O, objective. So from C, then we have the O. State exactly what you want AI to do. So say, for example, help me generate open-ended interview questions. Okay. Then next to O is the N, the nature of participants. Describe who the participants are. It is really very important so that it is not generalized, no? AI tool can understand what you really wanted. Okay, example. Participants are 10 public elementary school teachers with at least 3 years of teaching experience. Okay, and then next to N is T, or the task. So be specific, of course. Instead of write questions, you are going to say, generate 10 semi-structured interview questions that explore motivation, because these are your variables needed in your study. Explore motivation, challenges, coping strategies, and even professional growth. So you have to mention the variables, the important variables that would interplay in your study. Then next is E. E is ethics. Tell AI what ethical boundaries to observe. So example, ensure that the questions are non-leading, because this is now the ethical considerations, not non-leading, respectful, cultural appropriateness, so that there will be no bias, and avoid collecting unnecessary personal information. Okay, so X, expectation, specify the format. Example, provide the questions grouped by themes and include follow-up probing questions. Because in a qualitative question, my dear audience, as what we have applied, if you have research questions, it should be that there are probing questions that will surely guide you on the structured questioning or interviewing with the respondents. So you have to provide themes and include follow-up probing questions. That is to specify your major questions. Okay, and then example prompt. So it's just in the power of prompt. So as a qualitative researcher, expert specializing in phenomenological studies, I am conducting research on the lived experiences of novice teachers assigned to remote areas in the Philippines. So I want you to generate, just say, generate 12 structured interview questions aligned with the research objectives of exploring their challenges, coping mechanisms, professional growth, and then ensure the questions are open-ended, non-leading, culturally, and then suitable for ethics review. Include 2 probing questions for each main question. This prompt is more longer or much more stronger than simply asking, give me interview questions. Did you get it? Because you are going to specify, no? You are going to specify the prompt so that AI can also deliver what you wanted to know. So prompt for coding interviews, so you act as an experienced qualitative researcher or you are a quantitative researcher, and then review the following interview transcript, then suggest initial descriptive codes, but do not draw conclusions because AI will also perhaps conclude. So do not draw conclusions or invent participant meetings based on every code, only the participant's own word. Or this is the verbatim, what we say, quote unquote, the verbatim. Do not distort the answers coming from the participants. You should have to make use of their own words. So present the results in tables showing quotation, initial code, and brief rationale. So notice the phrases, do not invent participant meanings. That is an important ethical instruction because it reminds AI not to fabricate interpretations, because once you feed information to AI and then click enter, no, it's a no. You have to be very specific. So this keeps the researcher in control of interpretation. So I think this prompt, there are actually, you can also make use of AI to make a very good prompt in order for you to have good research, qualitative research. So I hope I find it I can justify the answer of that question. So we will make use of the framework called context. I would just like to repeat again. C, context; O, objective; N, nature of participants; T, task; and then E, ethics; X, expectation; and then we have what is lacking. Okay, that's it. Did I
Okay,
answer the
well,
question?
yeah, hopefully it can answer the questions. And don't
Mm.
forget for the context, right, Doctor?
Yes, the
Yes,
context.
the context, right. Well, actually, because the topic is quite interesting, so there are a lot of questions also. But because of our limited time,
Mhm.
maybe one more question, Doctor,
Yes.
from Fauzi. Fauzi from Universitas Tanjungpura. The question is, how would a researcher state the use of AI for qualitative study in his or her paper? Also, to what extent AI should be utilized for qualitative research ethically? Should all sensitive information be anonymized before asking AI to read the raw data?
Okay, that is also basic question that we
Almost,
can
yeah,
also have here. Oh,
almost
yeah,
same
it's
question.
almost now. Okay, almost the same question. So this is also one of the most important questions in current research ethics. So many journals, universities, and ethics committees now expect transparency regarding AI use, because before we hide AI. But this also expect that the researcher, not the AI, is accountable for the work. So I think this is a guide coming from me. We will simplify this one. So I think the researcher, the researcher, should disclose AI. I think this is part of the discussion previously discussed, no, that you should disclose AI when it has made a meaningful contribution to the research process. So what you are going to disclose, and you should specify, know what AI tool was used and which version or model. It's just like in doing research and writing a paper, it's just like citations. It's just like citations. You are going to cite the author. You are going to cite the year. So here in using AI, we are also going to disclose what tool that we are going to use, because the use of AI is, we cannot do away with it. This is part of, especially for us in the universities. So which version or model of AI is relevant, if relevant, and what specific task AI performed, how the researcher verified and supervised the outputs, and that all final interpretations and conclusions were made by the researcher. So it can also be an example like AI used for language editing. There will be methodology or acknowledgement. Somehow you can also write this in the methodology or acknowledgement, like example, artificial intelligence, open and close parenthesis, ChatGPT, open AI, was used to improve the clarity, grammar, and organization of selected sections of the manuscript. All research content, interpretation perhaps, and all the analyses and conclusions were developed and verified solely by the author. So there must be a distinction and a specification that you really need to disclose. That is also likewise a manner of ethical consideration, making use of AI in our study. No, so actually, also if you are going to conduct the interview, you can also chat GPT or OpenAI was used during the preliminary development. It's like acknowledging the use of AI. I think that's the much simple answer that I can give.
Well, thank you very much, Dr.
Yes,
Karen.
thank you. Oh, yes, thank you so much.
How is it, Fauzi? Hopefully, it can answer your question. Thank you. Well,
Thank
because
you.
because the time is very limited. Now, I want to make a conclusion from your presentation. So, in conclusion, the responsible use of AI in qualitative research requires clear and practical safeguards. Researchers should disclose AI use protect participants' identities, verify AI-generated results, obtain informed consent, and ensure compliance with data privacy policies. By following these practices, AI can be used ethically, transparently, and responsibly while maintaining the integrity of qualitative research. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for our third and final speaker. Our speaker is Dr. Wan Jumani Fauzi from Universiti Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah. Good afternoon, Dr. Jumani. Are you there?
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So, Dr. Jumani is one of lecturer in foreign language at the Center for Modern Language. Today, she will deliver a presentation entitled From Codes to Themes, Analyzing and Presenting Qualitative Data Effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Dr. Wan Jumani Fauzi. Time is yours.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
How do you see it?
Actually, I can see you and your presentation, your slide.
Okay.
Me
Is
too.
it clear enough? Or do you prefer if I just remove myself from content only? I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's better than
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for inviting me and staying around to the very last session. Okay, so basically what I will be talking about is what to do with your qualitative data. Okay, my focus would be from codes to themes, analyzing and and presenting qualitative data effectively. So this is something I feel that especially on the presenting part, we were not really taught, how to do it. Because when we did, I was a student before as well. I did my master's, I did my PhD. And when we learned, to call it research methodology and, proposal preparation, we always learn up to chapter 3. Chapter 4 and chapter 5, we're basically on our own and also under the guidance of our supervisor. So we kind of learned it the hard way. But, okay, this is what I will not talk about. I will not talk about what is qualitative research. I will not talk about what is qualitative research design, how you collect your data. Only have a few minutes, so let's get started. Okay, so here. Okay, so basically, I will really just speak very briefly on the types of qualitative data and how to deal with them. But I will talk a little bit longer on how to transcribe spoken data, because I feel that the decisions we make will also help us code our data, our findings, and help with the analysis. Okay, and I am so glad, that Pak Urai and Dr. Karen went before me, because yes, you can use AI to assist you. In the days when I was a student, we used NVivo, we used Atlas TI, but basically it was still us doing the coding. Okay, but now you can teach the AI, train the AI to not do this, not do that, do this, do that, and actually the AI can help code with you. But as Dr. Karen said, you don't want it to interpret for you. Okay. And I feel that you can put it in your research design, the way that we put how we use NVivo or Atlas TI in our research design. We can also put it in our research design, how we use the AI. Okay. So Okay, so these are my data, okay, or basically your data. So what do I do? What do you do with your data? So it goes back to what kind of data do you have? Okay, and data for qualitative research can basically be from interviews, discourse, surveys, observations, documents. Basically, qualitative data would be unstructured in the forms of words and visuals. They have no specific format. Okay, but if you have interviews, you would need to make sure that they are written. Okay, they are transcribed, they are written. It doesn't matter whether it's in soft copy or hard copy, but it must be in written form because this will help you code your data and analyze your data because you will have to read and reread and familiarize yourself with your data. Okay, if it's already written, it's fine. Okay, and nowadays AI can also help you with the transcription. Okay, even like now you're recording the meeting, there is an AI that is helping you record and transcribe. Okay, in those days, no way. I had to do it myself, days and days and days of transcription, and I also hired people to transcribe. Okay, so yeah, so you are so lucky to be in an age where AI can do so much for you. Okay, but in those days, it was not so advanced in which, it could recognize other languages. Now it could, but in those days it couldn't. And if there was a lot of background noise, it also couldn't transcribe for you. Okay, as well. So AI has gone through tremendous progress. Okay, so next. Okay, transcribing data. Okay, all analysis process begins with reading, but before you can read, your data must be transcribed, as I said. And how you transcribe your data is more than a matter of converting your speech into text. Okay, it is the analytical process because researchers make decisions. Okay, as I put here, and it involves analytical decisions about what to represent and what to omit. Meaning, if a person is pausing, when they speak, do you include the pauses? Do you include the laughter? Do you put in the and the R and, do you keep it? If there's overlapping, do you show it? Okay, so these decisions influence your data set that will later be coded and interpreted. So in that sense, you can view or say, loosely that it is like the first act of coding. Okay, some researchers will say, oh, no. But yeah, in that sense, because, you decide, you have to make a lot of decisions before you start transcribing. And it is this that later maybe you would like to put it into your AI, okay, that you have trained to code. Okay. So like, for example, if in an interview, the participant says, I don't really eat breakfast unless I'm rushing. Okay, so there are 3 ways. Okay, you can clean it up. Like, I don't eat breakfast unless I'm rushing, or you can put it verbatim. Okay, you put the pauses, but if you're doing conversation analysis, you would even time the pauses. Okay, so it's basically the same info, but the transcript is different because your focus is different. Okay, so what are transcription conventions? Okay, transcription conventions are symbols and rules used to represent spoken language in written form. They determine what aspects of speech become a part of the analytical data set. Okay, and when do you use transcription conventions? So basically, it depends on your methodology and what you want to focus on. So if you're doing thematic analysis, right, basically you don't really care about, the pauses. However, you can do the clean transcription like I showed just now, version A. Okay, because you're just focusing on the themes. Okay, but if you're doing like grounded theory, you're focusing on the concept, the processes, the relationships that emerge from the data, then you might want to show verbatim, meaning there are pauses. Like if you're doing IPA, I did hermeneutic phenomenology. I interviewed my respondents. I had a bit more I had a bit more conventions added. I wrote it like thematic analysis, but at the same time, if my respondent laugh, I would put there she laughed. If let's say her voice rose, she spoke louder, it means something. So I put it in the transcription. Okay. Narrative analysis. So basically, if you're looking at stories and life experiences, similar to thematic analysis, discourse analysis, like you're looking at language in use, but basically you have to choose. Okay, there is no one way of transcribing. You have to decide, like what I show here, what you want to focus on. So if the pauses are important, if the overlapping is important, then you will have to show it in your transcription. So these are transcription or notations convention examples. So normally this is used for conversation analysis. Okay. All right. So this would be the main content for today's talk. How to analyze qualitative data. Your analysis should answer your research questions. Okay, so once you have the transcription, once you have the written part of it, okay, so this is when you read, reread, read and read and read until you are very familiar with the text. Okay, you can, after the first one, you just read for enjoyment. The first time you read, you just read to understand what you're reading. Okay, the second time you are reading, or the third time you're reading, then you can start making notes and observations. You can start asking yourself, what is the participant saying? Okay, and then you can start comparing. Okay, this is where you start coding or labeling. Sometimes you don't need to read more than 3-4 times. Okay, but yeah, before you start coding or labeling, okay, here is where you label, like what Dr. Urai mentioned just now. You can use en vivo, where you use the participants' words themselves and you can highlight. I will show you an example in a bit. And then you can start comparing similarities and differences. Then you can sort or organize into categories. Basically, in this second level, in the second step, you're asking yourself whether there is a pattern. Okay, then you start interpreting. So that is the third part, the third step, where you connect all the related categories based on the patterns which may overlap. Okay, and then you start developing themes, and then you explain the meaning behind the patterns. Why does this pattern matter? So your role as a researcher, okay, which AI cannot take away from you, would be, because you will be the brains, okay, that do the brain work to connect all the dots and explain the why. You are basically the one figuring out what is the story that the data are telling. Okay, so let's take a look at this mini case study. Okay, so imagine yourself as a dietitian who's interested in understanding adults' breakfast practices. And although dietary guidelines promote healthy eating, breakfast choices vary considerably across individuals. So some people would consume local traditional traditional local food. Some people would prefer Western style breakfast. Some people won't eat breakfast altogether. Okay, and this may be influenced by culture, family practices, convenience, work schedules, whether it's expensive or cheap, whether you can afford it, whether you like it or not, your personal preference, and your own health beliefs. So rather than simply identifying what people eat, the researcher would like to understand how people describe their breakfast practices and why they make those choices. So basically, the aim of your study or this study would be to explore adults' breakfast practices as well as the factors influencing these breakfast choices. So I put here 2 research questions. RQ1, how do adults describe their breakfast practice? RQ2, what factors influence adults' breakfast choices? And then you may have done a purposive sampling on 100 adults, and you give them an open-ended online questionnaire. But for the purpose of this 2RQ, the questionnaire item would be this one question: what do you normally eat or drink for breakfast? Please explain why you usually choose this breakfast. So even though there's just this one item, there are 2 parts which addresses the 2 RQs. Okay, the first one, when they describe their breakfast, you know what they eat. And then when they explain, okay, it's so easy, it's so filling. Okay, then it shows the influence that the factors that influence their breakfast choice. Okay, so basically, hopefully, after we do this mini case study, you would be able to understand, how to develop initial qualitative codes, differentiate between codes, categories, and themes, understand that coding is iterative, develop themes from qualitative data, and how to present qualitative findings effectively. Okay, so this would be, I'm not going to show 100 answers, I just show 12 answers. And hopefully from these 12 answers, we can see, how we can code the answers given by the participants or respondents. Okay, so you can see here, maybe you want to help. Okay, what would you highlight first? Okay, just first time, you just read it for fun. I'll give you 1 minute to go through. Okay. Just 1 minute. All right. So if you have time to do a second reading, so this is the time you start identifying, okay, what you would like to highlight. Okay, normally if you have it on paper, you would do highlight, that is doing it manually. But if you're looking or reading the soft copy, you can use your highlight feature and you can start highlighting. You can even use different colors, you have that. You can do that with, in your Word doc, for example. Okay, so would you say you have the same as me? Okay, so I put 2 highlights there. Yellow for the food or breakfast that they eat. Okay, and blue would be the factor that influence. Okay, so because there are 2 parts, right? Okay. So nasi lemak, drink black coffee, eat oatmeal, eat honey stars, McDonald's breakfast, fruits and yogurts, don't eat breakfast at all, roti canai but every Sunday, avocado toast and green tea, protein shake after morning workout, nasi dagang. I don't know whether Indonesia has nasi dagang. Do you have nasi dagang? It is like a glutinous rice eaten with like fish curry or fish curry or something. All right. And then you have scrambled eggs and spinach. Okay. And then the reasons. Okay. the choices you make because of keeps me full until lunchtime, always rushing. Doctor advised me to lose weight. My children like it, so I'm eating it as well. Should mean that I also like it, right? Okay, it's convenient, it's lighter, intermittent fasting, and so on. Okay. So when you are doing focus coding, you can already start grouping them, nasi lemak, roti canai, nasi dagang. These are all traditional local breakfasts. Avocado toast, scrambled eggs. These are all what? Western style breakfasts. And then you have oatmeal, fruits, yogurt, green tea, protein shakes, spinach. These are all health-oriented breakfasts. Okay, you can also talk about clean eating if you want. Okay, McDonald's, fast food breakfast, black coffee, beverage only. Don't eat breakfast. You're skipping breakfast because of intermittent fasting. Okay, so these would be the categories for the factors that influence your choices. Keeps me full. Okay, rushing to work, quick, convenient. This would be quick would relate to time constraints. Convenient would be for convenience. Doctor advising you losing weight, healthier, fitness goals. That would be related to health. Children like it, family tradition. This would be family influence. Affordable. This would be cost. Enjoy cooking, homemade meals. Okay, this would be your personal preference. Okay, so you don't stop at the first level of coding. Okay, there is more to just you don't. There are people who, when they code, they just stop at nasi lemak. There are 12 people who like nasi lemak. There are 20 people who eat nasi dagang. There are 13 people who eat cereals for breakfast. So that is not enough. That is just surface level coding. So you have to go beyond surface level and group them some more, okay? Until you have less categories. Okay, just now you only have based on the words from the participants. All right, but now you need to organize them, sort them into different boxes. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so you can see here. So you need to look for patterns. Okay, doctors advise lose weights, healthier, fitness goals. And so then you can see, okay, these would be health considerations. So now you're already in the second step, yeah, comparing convenient, quick, rushing for work. We're looking at time and convenience. Children and family tradition, we're looking at family influence. Okay, clear so far? Okay, so I will move on. Okay, so
Yes.
here, what's the common story? So here you are developing the teams. Okay, just now you saw that, okay, these are health considerations, time and convenience, family influence. Okay, so you can say that health beliefs shape breakfast choices. Busy lifestyle influence breakfast practices. Family values and personal preference shape breakfast choices. So basically you are developing a team now. Okay, and the teams will explain your data. So basically your team 1, okay, these are the emergent teams. Health beliefs shape breakfast choices. The supporting categories would be health considerations, fitness goals, doctor's advice, all that. And then you can use, the what you call it, the answers from your participants. Okay, this will support the team. Okay, and then you can interpret by saying that participants modified their breakfast choices or they switched to certain foods in response to perceived health benefits due to medical advice and personal fitness goals. And you can do this for team 2 and team 3. Okay, so yeah, this is an example of using AI to what is it? Yeah, to analyze, not to say analyze your data, but like what Pak Urai did. Okay, so you have P1, P2, P3, and so on. Yeah.
Excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
You only have 2 minutes remaining.
It's okay. I'm nearly done. Okay, so basically, yes, categories describe, teams explain. Remember that teams are not categories. And so now we go to, in 2 minutes, how to write your findings. Okay, so basically, if you are writing in your thesis, okay, you need to, normally the way I write my findings would be based on the RQ. Okay, I would write based on the RQ1. Okay, how do adults describe their breakfast practices? And then I would briefly explain how I got my data, how I analyzed the data. And I would introduce that, okay, there are how many teams? Okay, health related, personal choices, family traditions. So there are basically 3 teams. And then I will explain first how I will present my findings. Then only I go and present my findings. Okay, so basically, yes, like this. Okay, this was my PhD thesis. So that is the thesis title. And these were the research questions. So basically, I went by research questions. So for the food example, mini case study just now. So we can say that the first theme would be health beliefs shape breakfast choices. A prominent finding from the data is that participants' breakfast choices were strongly influenced by their health beliefs. Several participants, you can put in the number of participants and the percentage, report consciously selecting food that they perceive as healthier alternatives, while others modified their breakfast practices following medical advice or to support their personal fitness goals. So these findings suggest that breakfast was viewed not merely as a daily meal, but part of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So then you can mention, like here, you mentioned participant 3, describe changing his breakfast, give the supporting quotation. Okay, so this was done for P3, participant 9, and then participant 10 as well. Okay, and participant 6. So basically, all these excerpts demonstrate that participants associated certain foods with positive health outcomes such as weight management, fitness, and overall well-being. And rather than choosing breakfast solely as based on taste or convenience, these participants appeared to make deliberate, conscious choices that are aligned with their personal health goals. And although reasons differed, okay, they had different reasons, but basically they were all related to health. Okay, so do you see? I hope it's clear how the team is presented. Okay, from how you coded your data to how you got the teams to how you present your findings. So that's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Wan Jumani Fauzi, for the excellent presentation. Now we will have our final question and answer session. If you have any question for the participants, please raise your hand or write them in the chat box, please. Because the committee already shared the registration link for the certificate. And now we see there are 2 questions while waiting for the participants to fulfill the link for presentation. Dr. Jumani, the first question, it is from Fauzi from Universitas Tanjungpura. Would you mind to shed more lighting or wait. Would you mind to shed more lights on slide 9 on the researcher role to connect the dots to explain why? Why was this unreplaceable by AI as you emphasized before?
I wouldn't say that it's, I mean, yes, I know I said that this is unreplaceable by AI because, you know, if you allow AI to do it, then what is your role as the researcher? So it's not exactly ethical to allow AI to do that thinking for you. I mean, you can ask AI to verify your thoughts, I'm thinking this, and so on. Would you agree? Is this aligned to the framework that I'm using? I mean, AI can verify, but if you allow AI to do everything, then what is your function in this research? I would ask you back that. Okay? Because AI can practically do a lot of things, but of course, at the end of it, AI has this disclaimer where AI will say that AI makes mistakes. Okay. I
Well,
hope that answers your questions.
yeah, how is it, Mr. Fauzi?
Is it okay?
You can give your hand. Okay, much
Okay,
appreciated.
thank you, Mr.
Thank you so
Fauzi.
much.
Okay.
Nice. Well, before we're going to the second question, I will inform to the participants that the link for
Oh,
participants for the attendance and feedback for already sent in the chat box. You have 5 minutes maybe to fulfill the link because there are some questions. And while waiting, now let's go to the second question, Dr. Jumani from Nurdiana Siregar. For instance, suppose the study examines a child's understanding of their own mathematical development. Can this be done solely through interviews without observation? At what point is the number of respondents considered to have reached saturation?
okay. If you are examining the child's understanding, you can do it through interview, but I would also recommend and suggest that you observe, because sometimes you need to triangulate, I believe. All right. The child, is the child's perceptions towards their own work or their own performance the same as the actual performance? So yeah, you know how people go onto those singing competitions and they feel that they are a very good singer, but if you observe, they are not really that good. Yeah. Okay. So um I would say you would need to observe as well. It wouldn't be enough just through interview. Okay, that's number one. Number two, for the saturation part, as you go through the answers, and every answer is different. It's still different. There is no identical answer, where you will see traditional local breakfast. Everything is in the category of its own. Then there is no saturation yet. It's when you stop getting new categories, then you would have reached saturation. All right. Did I answer your question?
For Miss Nurdiana Siregar, is that clear?
Okay.
Okay, I think. Okay. She already gave her thumb, actually. Thank you so much. Is there another questions? Can I ask one question? Doctor, actually, it's time for ending our session, but we still
Okay,
give
go ahead. I think.
some maybe some minutes, 5 minutes for the participants to fill the attendance list. So maybe okay, we give Eka Fajar Rahmani for one question. You can ask your question directly by raise your hand or open your audio, or you can text in the chat box for
Okay,
Eka
thank you
Fajar.
very much. All right, thank you very much, Miss
Okay.
Qurota A'Yunin. All right, thank you very much for the insightful presentation, Miss Jumani. Okay, my question is probably I'm still learning about qualitative data analysis, either using AI or manually. Frankly speaking, so far I did once qualitative data analysis using Microsoft Excel. Yeah, and it was very difficult to analyze the data, to do the coding, and then transferring the codes to the teams. So, my question probably is related to the number of the mostly the same with the last question. Yeah. Uh, if there are only few participants, let's say more less than 10 participants answering the what is it the answering the questions or the questionnaire, should we also consider that as our teams or as our as the coach to be transferred to the teams, or like what? Because that actually confuses me the most. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
All right. Okay, it goes back to your number of participants, right? So,
Yes, if the number is
so
quite a lot, probably. Yeah, let's say around 50 participants, so more than 50. And
you can have 5, you can have 50, you can have 3. For
yes,
my PhD, I only actually had 3. Okay, because the context in which I was working in um, only had a few staff. So out of the 4 or 5 staff, only 3 had time to be interviewed. So basically, I only interviewed 3 people. Okay, but in the questions, the answers were similar. So to some point, I couldn't have any more participants even if I wanted to. That is the point I wanted to make, because it was so small. Okay, the number of staff in that department was so small. So it was purposive sampling. Okay, and I only had 3 people. But even if you had 50, you need to, if you had 50 and that is all the people that you have, then even if it's not saturated, it's already saturated. Especially if, let's say, you're doing a case study or something. I hope I'm explaining it correctly. I hope you understand what I'm
yes,
explaining.
I do understand. Okay.
Okay. So if, let's say, there are 50 and the data is not saturated yet, but there are no other people to interview anymore.
Mm.
So yeah, you have that 50 only, right? So
Yes.
yeah, and whatever teams, okay, that you have, I get very excited looking at qualitative data, because sometimes, the codes, they overlap, you know. Um,
Yes.
so when they overlap, I like it. I don't know. It's like a challenge, Um, so yeah, so just go through, have fun with it. It doesn't have to be 100% inductive, where it's from the words data driven. It can also be a combination, of inductive and deductive. So my PhD was that. I had both actually. I had data driven, and I also had theory driven. So that helps as well with the coding. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you. That's the last question, right? So we are done. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Dr. Jumani, for all the 3 questions. Well, let me remind once more, and for the last time, for the participants, don't forget to fill the attendance link that already shared in the chat box, because it is your ticket to get the certificate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we have reached the end of today's seminar, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our distinguished speakers for sharing their knowledge and valuable experiences. Our appreciation also goes to all participants for your active participation and enthusiasm throughout this seminar. We hope today's discussion provide meaningful insights and inspire future qualitative research. On behalf of the organizing committee, thank you once again for joining us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to meeting you again at our future academic events. Have a wonderful day. Good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank
Good
you.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jumani, Dr.
Yeah,
Karin. Karen. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I already
Karen.
Karen. Okay,
Okay,
thank you. And
bye.
also thank you, Dr. Urai Salam. Thanks so much for all of the participants.